Hello, hello.
This is the podcast, Girls
And the City. You are welcomed by your two lovely co-hosts, me, Zuzana, whose today's recommendation is to listen to the new album of Lily Allen because it's very, very raw and authentic, and honestly, I've been loving it. I don't know if everyone will like it, but those who will, hi. We are group 7.
I still have yet to listen to it, so I'll let you know how that goes. But yeah, me, Elizabeth, who's been choosing to keep things colorful this fall because it is gloomy weather and I choose to be happy.
That's nice.
Yeah, but a little bit about our episode and our podcast in general. We're the Girls in the City, and we talk about the show Sex in the City. We usually watch an episode, then we'll figure out what the main question is. We'll try to find the answer. If we can't find it, we'll make one up. But otherwise, we try to give it a modern twist by also sharing our stories and the stories of our friends.
You know that you said we usually watch the episode? We always watch the episode.
I mean, sometimes like I do, and then sometimes I have to rewatch it 3 times.
Sure, but like it's not. We are not that crazy that we can actually remember it before
every single episode. There are a lot of seasons.
It's been a long time since I actually seen it, like from the beginning to the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
no, that's fair. That's fair. How are things with you? What's the recap?
I mean, not as if we were not talking for the last 30 minutes. I'm gonna say in advance to everyone who's gonna listen to this episode that I am in a really specific today, and I have zero patience for bullshit. Or being nice for the sake of being nice. So I'm just gonna be very probably direct. And if you think I am direct, I am not. I'm still like trying to be nice about it. But I don't think I can do that today. So that is my mood of a week. I mean, I would just say things that are negative. Like, the weather is not going great. It's getting cold, and we just had a time change. So now it's just going to be dark in the morning and dark in the evenings and cold.
You've lost sleep, right? Like, because it's
no,
an hour
we gained.
Less. Oh, you gained?
We gained sleep. But I don't like the winter times. Like, I like when there is light in the evening. And by doing the winter change, they change it in a way that there is even early on my English, that the darkness comes earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. And as I said to Elizabeth a little bit before, I don't think I have a lot of capacity for people this week, so I was trying to avoid them, to not start a conflict.
She's been trying to not choose violence, but yet still choosing violence.
Yeah.
Okay, but we have some exciting things coming up, aka some holiday togethers. We have something to look forward to together.
I am. I also hope that my mood will not be in this setup anymore.
That's fair.
Anyway, you say your updates.
My updates. I don't have a ton of updates. Life's been all right. I took the day off tomorrow to go buy a car, so I'm very excited. Hopefully it actually works out. I don't know how to buy a car, so my friend's coming with me. She's gonna help me out. So yeah, I'll keep you guys posted.
That is exciting.
Rolling up in my new whip. Can have a in-car podcast one day, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'll go on a road trip.
I would suggest don't do it in the first couple of years until you feel quite confident with paying attention to multiple things.
Oh, no, I'm not going to drive and do the podcast. I would park somewhere nice. No, that does not sound safe. No, I'd get pulled over right away. Like, that's crazy.
I mean, you can be hands-free.
I guess. It still does not sound very safe. No, I'd just I don't know, maybe take us to a cute little spot and be like, look, there's a mountain behind me.
I think you're romanticizing a car experience.
Okay, whatever. I've never had a car.
I'm sorry. I did tell you at the beginning. I'm just gonna be very
She's
down to
raining on
the.
everyone's parade today. Well, anyway. Okay, fine. We'll carry on with the episode. I'll give the summary so
Thank
Zuzana can
you.
give her hot takes. All right, so we're actually on season 2, episode 16 for anyone that's watching and keeping up. If you need to pause the episode to go watch the Sex and the City episode, please do so. But otherwise, we'll give you a brief summary and hopefully you can keep up. But the episode's called "Was It Good for You?" Which is a bit of a strange way to begin, but we'll figure out if there is an answer to that question. Um, we see the episode starting off with Charlotte dating yet another what seemingly is a perfect guy again. You know, Charlotte has her eye on perfection. This guy is an orthopedics doctor, and so he comes from very high pressure, like high intensity work background, obviously. And so they are in the bedroom, clearly making love. Charlotte's super into it. And then all of a sudden, she notices that he's fallen asleep, which obviously makes Charlotte super uneasy, makes her upset. And he apologizes profusely, saying, like, it's been a long day. He had multiple surgeries, and therefore, he's not at his best right now. And so he may have taken a slight nap. We then see her running, crying to Carrie the next morning, being really upset about this because she thinks the fact that he's fallen asleep in the middle of making love to her, that she's not good in bed. And then Carrie tries to calm her down, saying, like, he's just a very busy man. It's nothing to do with you, but Charlotte still will not believe it. Then we also, I'll skip around a little bit, but Charlotte essentially signs herself and the friend group up for a class in tantric sex workshop, essentially around what it's called How to Please a Man. They go to the workshop. It's very interesting because it's this woman's apartment. They're curious of why is it an apartment, but then all of a sudden she brings out her husband, who then is fully naked, and then they begin to do the workshop, at which point a lot happens. Also the girls are kind of like cracking jokes the whole time, so being a little bit disrespectful, I think.
No,
And
I
so
mean just Miranda and Carrie. Let's be clear. Like Samantha and
yeah,
Charlotte
Samantha's crashing
actually,
out in the corner for a reason that I'll share in a minute.
she was actually very interested in it.
She
Um,
was, yeah. And
until
then
until
Charlotte, yeah, I mean, and then Charlotte's taking notes, the girls are giggling, and then yeah, there is basically the workshop happens, they learn a ton, whatever, we go with the day. Ultimately, at the end, we do see Charlotte does try to recreate the workshop with the doctor, and everything goes well. I'll just leave it at that to keep it somewhat PG. This episode was not at all PG, so
I don't think majority
hide
of
your
our
kids. No, some of the
is.
episodes are a little bit more tame. But anywho, that was that. But before Charlotte went to the workshop, there was a conversation between Samantha and Carrie where they were walking down the street as they usually do, I think grabbing coffee. And Carrie's telling her the story of Charlotte and the doctor. And she's saying, well, of course, like it, sorry, Samantha's saying that, of course, it's like, Charlotte that's not really good in bed. And that's why the man has fallen asleep. And then she says, like, talks about, like, obviously that herself, like Samantha, she's really good in bed to a point that her gay friends are inviting her to be a third guest in the bedroom, which Carrie thinks is like kind of I not absurd, but like out of the blue. Which Samantha had a great quote for a sex columnist, you have a very limited view of sexuality, which I thought was a bit of a dig at Carrie, but I think she's not wrong here.
She actually gave a few really really good reflections and quotes. Samantha, I mean, in the
Hmm.
beginning.
Yeah,
But
no, I
I can
think
say it later.
go for it. Yeah, 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 if you have any.
No, I mean I do. Like she basically said who we are in bed is who we are in life. I have never met a man who is bad in bed and good at life, which I was like, interesting take. I would say probably that kind of applies because it's more about how um confident I think you feel in yourself, and it's visible in both areas of your life. But the second thing that she said afterwards is what I actually was like, this was amazing because this was shot in 90s, and
Yeah,
she
the
kind of
start of
made a
2000.
yeah, and she made a prediction which I think is really applicable today. She said the new millennium won't be about sexual labels. It will be about sexual expression. It won't matter if you're sleeping with men or women. It would be about sleeping with individuals.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe that that's what happened in the last 30 years since this was shot.
Oh, no, for sure. Yeah, I think the writers were definitely spot on here. Um, Especially through the character of Samantha, because I think
Yeah.
that's where it's expressed most. Um, I
Like
mean,
going back,
traveling with the story of Samantha, yeah, she did get asked by her two friends to basically spend the night with them, but ultimately, I think they just like as they got into it, and Samantha was a little bit nervous, I think, as well at the beginning. She was unsure of what she was going into, but the moment she saw them, she actually got, like, I think her confidence back, and she was reassured that, like, yeah, this is definitely worth trying. But in the middle of it, they basically paused and said, like, this is not for them. And so I think she did feel a little bit of hesitation. And so that's why, like, during the workshop, she's like, you know,
I
I
mean,
maybe need
she
to learn a few lessons as well because
she has a
that
very
happened.
high confidence when it comes to bed.
Yeah.
So the fact that she was not rejected, but they decided to not continue, I think she personally felt like a rejection, which is more about her rather than the situation, even though it wasn't the case. But yeah,
Yeah.
she took it personally.
No, which, yeah, makes sense. At the end of the day, she does have feelings. She's perfect. All right. And then moving on to Miranda here before I get to Carrie's story, which is even wilder. Um Miranda is basically, I think we had the scene with her making her bed, essentially trying to manifest like, if I make my bedroom cozy, then, like, good things will come and more people will feel invited into it. Which I think is very nice. I personally do that all the time with trying to clean my apartment. Making
I just
sure
think it's
that
desperate.
like, okay, we're gonna pin that.
I don't think that you not having someone is because of your bed. Like, that is not where you should focus your time. You should focus your time on your bed if you feel like you want to improve, the vibe for yourself. But
Sure,
anyway,
sure, 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 sure. But she did have a quote of, "If you build it, it will come." So that was Miranda. But Miranda actually didn't have too much going on this episode. I think she was definitely more of like a supportive friend here, if anything. But all right, to get into the meat of the episode, and this has been pretty controversial on the internet from what I've heard from Reddit and hearing from Zuzana in a bit as well. The story of Carrie. So Carrie is walking down New York City, the streets, one day, and she I think gets a cigarette butt thrown at her, and she's like, "Ouch," "What is going on?" And this guy essentially, like, very carelessly did not put out his cigarette and just threw it in the street, which, littering is bad. Um, but she gets very upset with him. What? Yeah, she gets very upset with him, and in the midst
does
of
she? I don't know. I have a comment on that, by the way.
okay,
But
okay.
continue.
Anyways, so she says, like, "What are you doing?" That kind of thing. I thought I was stung by a bee. And then while she's yelling at him, she realizes, oh, he's actually, like, really cute, and starts cracking jokes about being a burn victim and all these things. And then eventually she says, like, asking herself out basically of like, "Oh, I'll feel better if you basically take me out for coffee over a cappuccino," that kind of thing. They end up going on a date, talking for a couple of hours, and the conversation is great. And she notices that she's running late, and so she has to head out. But as she's walking out, she's thinking to herself, like, how many cute guys are there in New York that are smokers? Um, and so she realized that she needs to give him her number, which I think she does in a pretty clever way. She's like, "Oh, if I'm starting like a lawsuit, blah blah blah, you'll probably need my number, in case you want to take me out for coffee again." So she hands him her number, and that's where we also see the scene of her at Miranda's place, being like, he hasn't called. he didn't like me. I felt like he liked me because I only give out my phone number when I'm really convinced that someone's really into me. And Miranda says like something very profound in that moment. It's like, why are you stressing out about this? It's like one moment you feel like you're on top of the world, you're amazing, you're super confident, and then the moment that a guy doesn't call you back is when you basically break down and spiral. So I thought that was very good. But later on, Carrie runs into him, I think a couple of days later on the street, standing next to some other guy, and they're smoking, and she tries to say hi, but he says, "Hey, like, we're actually in the middle of something." And that point, she seems really awkward and runs off. And he follows her and says, like, "Hey, sorry about that. Like, we're actually in Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's why I didn't want to introduce you because, well, it's on anonymous." And so she basically tells him that, like, "Oh, yeah, I got offended because he didn't call me," and he explains to her that he's been sober for 11 months, and so his sponsor has told him not to date anyone this time period until he is out of the program. Um, at which point, I think she makes him feel a little bit, like, guilty about it, and he says, "Well, like, what the heck, like, it's only a couple weeks away, let's go out for dinner anyways." So they go on a series of dates. After each date, they're very close to, like, kissing, and they never do. I think after the 3rd or 4th date, Carrie just gets really fed up with it and then turns around and just, like, very, like, just kisses him, like, she really goes for it. After which point, they go upstairs, they spend the night together, and he makes a point of it that he's never spent a night with anyone sober, and so he doesn't know what, like, what the experience is like. Afterwards, he's very impressed by the experience, let's put it that way. He had a really good time, and so he essentially has this addiction now towards, like, not alcohol, it's gonna be towards Carrie. And so, over and over again, like, he's basically becoming obsessive with her. And she finds that, like, a little bit off-putting, and a week and a half, I think, into the relationship, he basically tells her that he loves her, which crazy behavior. And Carrie is like, "No, you're not in love with me, you're in love with this new addiction you have found, like, this new compulsive behavior." And that's when she tells him to go home and to go to another meeting because, like, this is now not acceptable behavior. He later shows up at her apartment or outside of her apartment drunk, yelling her name, saying, like, "I love you, Carrie. Like, why are you turning me down? Why are you breaking up with me?" So just very, very chaotic behavior there. At which point she says that she stopped talking to him and received a letter from him apologizing for the behavior, and that they've never spoken again. And that is it from the episode, I believe. Did I miss anything?
I
Cool.
think that was it.
Ah,
The
I covered
question.
it.
The
All right. Well, now the
question.
question is, since the episode is called "Was It Good for You?" The main question of the episode is, how do you know if you're good in bed? Crazy question to ask though, too.
I mean, it kind of makes sense for the episode.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. Um, I think we wanted to start the conversation around boundaries or the lack of boundaries or just, foolishly pushing through people's boundaries.
Yeah.
What do we think? Because that's like at least like what I read on Reddit, is the downfall of Carrie in this episode is that she's being extremely self-centered, and then the fact that she's offended by any time that he doesn't kiss her. And yeah, like that she's just not respecting his boundaries from the moment that they've met. He said that, like, "Hey,
Yeah.
I am this in this program, I'm struggling with this addiction, I want to take it slow." And then she basically rushes him through it and then gets upset that he then again falls into his old patterns.
I mean, like, you just kind of summarized it well. Like, I really, really don't like how she acted here. It was very selfish, ignorant, and
Yeah.
self-centered. Because, I mean, if you say I'm addicted to chocolate, also, like, there are different types of addiction, but
Yeah.
he was probably seriously struggling with alcohol, otherwise he would not be in the program. And secondly, he was actively getting better, and she just pushed these type of boundaries. I was like, I just don't like that, and I kind of despise that behavior. Also, the fact that, and I'm gonna go back to like how they met, that she just like desperately seeks validation from everyone and like expects everyone will fall in love with her that she fancy. Like if I would meet, if this would happen to me, like
Yeah.
realistically, let's look at it. You walk on the street, assuming you're going somewhere, right? It's not like you're like, I don't think she was just randomly walking on the street, like because of the walking. That's not who Carrie is. And someone throws a cigarette on you. There is no way in hell I would actually talk to this person and go out with them. I would be so fucking annoyed. Sorry for my language. I would definitely give him an Eastern European look of annoyance. I don't think I would even talk to them because it's just so disrespectful. Maybe they would say like sorry, and I was like, yeah, okay, and like to like go with my life. The fact that she then tried to like being like, oh, but then I realized that he was like, oh my god, here we are again. She's living in this dreamy land where I don't know. That's how I felt. Um, and then the second thing is she was going somewhere, and suddenly she has time to go for hours on random. That just to me shows clearly that she's desperate to be just adored by someone or wanted by someone, and it's not necessarily about the person but rather the feeling, and
Yeah.
that's already bad for me. And that's also why it went this way. I think that she was just looking for someone to adore her rather than like to build the actual connection, because the moment that he's starting to fall out of what she wants, she's like, yeah, no, we're done, you actually have a problem. But the beginning, when he's like, oh, I have a problem, these are my boundaries, she was like, oh no, I don't mind dating an alcoholic, I'm fine, we all have addictions, like it's fine. Like what the hell.
Yeah, and I think like a big piece of it is kind of she did get what she wanted. Right? It's like
Yeah,
this
but you
guy who was
can't,
saying like she's so amazing, she's so this, she's so that, and then that's like when she decided to pull back. I was like, oh, it's becoming like a little too much.
like you can't run around the world like hurting people like this, I think she's this is a great example of she didn't really think about what this meant to him and just like
Yeah.
cared about her own needs. And when she got whatever she wanted to, she just threw him away in a way because he was suddenly too much. But at the beginning, she told him that she doesn't mind he's having this problem. So
Yeah. I guess
it,
she like
it's
maybe didn't evaluate like what it actually meant, the weight of it and those kinds
yeah,
of things, because it is
that's what I mean.
extremely serious.
She like didn't realize or think about it. She just thought about herself in that position, and I just found it that you should not, like, you should just not do this to people. If this
Yeah.
is your approach to dating, then just rather don't date. Like, I don't know, go buy shoes. You know, if you need validation or whatever. That's what I mean. Like, I didn't like this episode because I found this. I really don't like this behavior in people. It's in my opinion very disrespectful,
Mhm.
especially if you tell them in advance that this is what I'm struggling with and I'm working on it, and they just come in, destroy everything you built, and then you are in a square one, and they're like, you know what, do your healing because you're too much.
Yeah. So I guess going back to like boundaries in general, because I think this is like
Elizabeth steering it back to
no, I'm just trying to think like in general, because like I think this is like, a great example of like I mean, obviously she bulldozed through his boundaries, but at
yeah.
the same time, I'm trying to think like what could he have done differently,
Well,
keeping those boundaries up.
I I I I I think that unfortunately this is something that is very subjective. Like, we have different boundaries and also like different
Definitely.
life moments. I think that, if he would have gone through the program and being sober for some time, he would also build up a stronger understanding of who he is outside of drinking alcohol. So
Yeah.
like it depends on where you are in life, but it's also like depends on how much you respect yourself, I think, like if you set the boundary for yourself and then you are so easily convinced by a random person, because they, like, honestly, They didn't know each other.
It's a
He
stranger
didn't
on the
even
street.
exactly. He didn't even know if he actually likes her or not. It's just like initial attraction, right? So if it's that easy for you to like completely destroy what you've built over some time, then I think that it's more to do with you and like how much you actually respect your own self, or where you want to go and like how you want to get there.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but if you can't do that, then like what what are you doing in life? Like if you
Yeah, like,
can't
there's more learning to be done, I think, at that point.
exactly. And I'm sorry if I'm being too harsh here, but like if you can't set up your own boundaries for you to get somewhere where you want to go, no one is going to do it for you.
Yeah.
So like I'm sorry that that happened to him, but also I guess it's a learning lesson for him to know that I will never let anyone to like mm,
I guess force something upon him that, yeah, he didn't want, but then end up being, like,
yeah.
not taken advantage of, but, like, he got too swept up in the situation without
Y-
noticing it.
Yeah, I mean like again, I don't think she did it to harm him. She just was ignorant of his situation. Um
Yeah.
but yeah. No, I mean I looked up like what to tolerate and what to not tolerate. It's a ChatGPT answer, so we can kind of discuss that. But the points that what we should or could tolerate with healthy boundaries is open and honest communication, respect for different opinions, patience, sense of autonomy, and emotional engagement, which some of them apply here, some of them not.
Yeah.
And then what to not tolerate is disrespect, pressure, dishonesty, boundary violation, and emotional dumping.
Emotional dumping. Oh my goodness. No, I think, yeah, on the high level, I definitely agree. I think it's definitely a lot of it is circumstance based as well.
Yeah,
So that's a little bit tougher, I think, to
it's
decipher.
it's like I think where I'm kind of thinking here is like we all have boundaries, but also relationships relationships are about maybe you build some of these boundaries as a protection mechanism from the past, and then like when you meet the right person, it's all about learning how to kind of take these boundaries down as you build more trust and depth with the person, right?
I mean,
So
but certain boundaries I think still stay, right? Like it turns into like mutual respect at some point. It's no longer seen as like I have a wall up. It's more of like here's what I tolerate, here's what I don't tolerate in terms of behavior, right? So in terms of like boundaries, for example, like obviously lying, right? That's an obvious boundary that most people will not tolerate. And if that's prevalent in a relationship, that will be a sign of disrespect.
yeah, for sure. But I mean, like, if I am invested in a relationship and some of the boundaries have been crossed, I assume that that person actually cares for me. So I would be more interested in, like, okay, what happened that made you cross this boundary where you knew that it's going to hurt me? Because that is, in my opinion, a bigger problem at that point. Like, once we establish certain level of trust and love for each other and you don't want to necessarily hurt the other person. So you try to adjust your behavior accordingly to that because you care. And then something, happen and you cross such a key boundary. I am more interested in like, okay, what are you struggling with? Because I don't think you would do this to me normally. Um, so if
Yeah,
that
there has to be
happened,
other factors at play.
exactly. Yeah, but like in the beginning, especially like the early stages, yeah, setting boundaries very important
Yeah.
because you don't necessarily want to be in something that is making you uncomfortable. I mean, what's the point?
Yeah. And I think it's prevalent everywhere. Again, like we talk mostly about relationships, but it's boundaries with like family members, boundaries with friends, boundaries at work. Like all of those things apply. And I think, yeah, at the end of the day, you want to avoid putting yourself into a position where you feel either caught up, stuck, or extremely uncomfortable. And I think that's like the importance of one setting them, but also I think like setting boundaries is easier than it is exercising like holding up the boundaries. Because having the
Yeah.
awkward conversations is, I think, the harder part.
So when you say it's harder, is it what is harder? What is hard for you in this conversation?
I think it's more maybe this is like the slight people pleasing tendencies in me of just like disappointing them or not giving them what they want.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the harder part, at least from the conversations that I've had, is just like they wanted something else, but I can't give it to them because this is what I need for myself. And I find that to be the hardest. What do you think?
Mm. Yeah, this is kind of what I thought because like for me, I often struggle to I think with the opposite. Like I have very clear idea of what I tolerate and not most of the time, and I get
Yeah.
pretty irritated if someone is crossing my boundary and I don't have a problem to tell them. But what I am struggling with is to tell them with tenderness. So I don't want to be perceived as a total asshole
Yeah.
when I tell them, especially when you are irritated, like you tend to have emotional undertone under that. So all the time I'm like, okay, I need to take some time so I'm not completely emotional. And also like how do I tell this to a person that he will take it seriously, but he will not think of me as you are a total after I told him.
Can't say bitch on the podcast?
I don't know. I I don't know.
I give you permission.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's like that's what I struggle. I don't have problem challenging the person. I struggle with saying in a way that is actually gonna be
Not hurt them.
I mean that I will assess the right level of their softness or not in order to receive it in a way I want them to receive it. Do you
Yeah,
know
but
what I mean?
I think the right again, we're talking about like hypotheticals here, but I think the right person will understand and respect it, right? So for example, if someone comes to me and says like this is super like obnoxious, but like bell peppers. They don't like bell peppers, right? So that's like their boundary of like I can't tolerate bell peppers. And I'm not going to like be the person be like, "No, I need to cook bell peppers tonight." You know? Like you're not going to force it upon them. But I think in the cases like where I've struggled is when people have heard my boundary and
Mm.
then made me feel bad about it. And that is I
Oh.
think where the toxic manipulation comes into play. They're like, "What do you mean you can't tolerate this? Like, you're so weak or you're so bratty because this is what you
What?
want."
Has anyone said that to
Yeah,
you? Oh,
absolutely.
oh my
Because
god.
I wanted things a certain thing. I think I, like, asked for, like, a guy to take me on a date. Or I was like, "Hey, I've, like, been doing really nice things for you. Can you treat me nicely?" And he says, "Well, that's a bratty thing. That sounds like you're so high maintenance." And I was like, "Actually, am I? I don't know. I think that is the bare minimum." Like, so that's where I think, like, a normal person and a healthy person would say, like, respect your boundaries and be like in any case, be like, I don't know, in my case, would be like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry I brought in bell peppers. I didn't realize that." Right? So they
Yeah.
would have a healthy reaction to it, like, "Yes, let me recognize this behavior and correct it." Whereas someone who is not coming from that perspective would actually just, like, wind you up further and make you feel bad about it.
But I think there's like a third scenario where people just simply don't pay so much attention to it. It might be a small thing, right? And you tell them. And for you, it was like, okay, I did tell them because for me, it's a big thing. But for them, like they kind of just like
Brushed it
even
over.
didn't exactly. And then they will do it
Mm,
again. Not necessarily, like maliciously, but they just kind of didn't put so much importance to it as you do. I think that's like where the tricky part comes in.
I guess, yeah, you gotta gently remind them. Because they might not put as much of, like, weight or importance to it as you might.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like I would say where I struggled the most because then I'm like, okay, are you being an asshole or what is going on here?
Yeah. No, that's fair,
Especially
that's
if
fair.
if you deal with people who are not really good in conflict situations, you know, that you try to talk it out, but they will
Yeah.
just kind of try to like make it peaceful as soon as possible and
Oh, I'm
not.
like that,
Yeah, I
unfortunately. I'm
know.
sure you've noticed, but like I'm so conflict avoidant. I'm like, let's just fix it.
But that's what I mean. Like I struggle with these people because I feel I can't be myself.
Because
Because
they
if
don't
I am
choose
my,
conflict.
because I would just be very direct, but these people just get like too how do you say it, intense about the energy, and then you actually don't get the type of reaction and answer you want. They just want to like brush it off as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Sorry, we kind of like diverted a
Digress. No, no, no
little
worries,
bit.
no worries. I mean,
Um,
yeah, I think boundaries in general, because there was also the second part about, I think, like, even personal boundaries. I don't know if you would consider this one to be one, but like the way Carrie spiraled after he didn't call her. I think that is a personal boundary. That is like knowing your self-worth and not letting anyone else or their actions dictate that.
I mean, I would just call it desperate again. Like that's what I
How is that
meant.
desperate though?
Because she is again seeking validation from external sources and like spiraling about something that is ridiculous. Like she prayed herself for the fact that, oh, I gave number to this guy, I'm cool, and then she spirals about that. So she's actually not feeling confident about it. She's just, I feel good because I think I'm being validated. But then when
Yeah.
like the moment she feels actually I'm not, she just completely breaks down. And that's what I don't like. It's like this kind of, you just do it for the fact of feeling good about yourself. And genuinely, I wanted to like get to know that. Because I understand it, but also they went for coffee. The fact that she spiraled this hard about someone that went for, they went out for one piece of drink. I mean, really? Like, I would not be surprised if she spirals after dating for months, but they literally met once.
Yeah. No, I think like I agree. I don't know if it's desperate though, but I also think it's very natural for women, particularly who are always approached by guys who never give out their phone numbers and who never are the ones to take the first action. And the moment that they do, they kind of pedal back on it, almost thinking like, "Oh, this is why I never do this," right?
Mm.
And it
But she
is a
didn't
bit of
say
a
she doesn't do it. She said, like, I
she
only give
usually
now. Yeah,
yeah, she's well,
usually.
that means like out of most cases she wouldn't give her phone number out until she like knew.
Yeah,
And
but
I
like
think
that
that's why
also
she's
apply.
questioning her like barometer in that case. Maybe I was wrong about that.
I just
Um
found it too what's the word? Pretentious. Like
Pretentious? How is it pretentious? Like
she
I think
just
it's cocky. I think it's cocky. I don't know if it's
can
pretentious.
okay. I mean, it's just like I think she thinks way too much of herself in this episode. Don't
Sure.
just you know
A
like
little I
not
think
everyone is gonna like you, and just the fact that someone doesn't or is neutral about it is just get over yourself. I don't know.
but that's why I think maybe she's not been rejected enough. You know what I
And I
mean?
and
Like
I
she's
mean
not comfortable with it.
I'm speaking from a position of someone who I never given my number like this ever to anyone. I am
Yeah.
someone who is
So you never ever have given a guy your number.
no, I mean if they asked for it,
But like you've
which
never taken the initiative.
no,
How come?
why?
I don't know, just you find someone cute.
No,
Like what is the harm in it?
I just am not interested in that type of interaction.
Interesting. Okay.
But like I can empathize with the realities of how you know people work and the fact that not everyone is gonna like me. I don't expect that if I come to the room, everyone will like fall on the floor because I entered the room. If there is one person that like fancy me, that's probably like statistically, possible. But that's what I mean. Like she has a little bit of the too high of an perception
Like
of
an ego trip.
herself.
Yeah. But I
Yeah,
also
and
don't think it makes it any better in the episode of when they actually do end up spending the night together and he's like, "Oh my god, you're the best,"
no,
and that kind of
exactly.
thing.
Like I
Like,
mean, like it
I think
feeds her.
she is on her power trip in that case.
It fits her validation needs is what I mean. Like and
Yeah.
I'm not like necessarily, saying that this is like a horrible character. I'm just saying that I can clearly see where this is coming from. She needs an external validation to feel better about herself, but that's actually insecurity, and she should look into that rather than dating random people to feel that need and then just dump them the moment that they like make her
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
uncomfortable. It's like
Okay, we can't judge her too much. Again, it's a flawed character, and I think that's what here gives this
I
like
think
show depth.
I think we should call this episode Zuzana hating on Carrie.
And everyone else. Okay.
No, I
But
appreciated
I
Samantha and Charlotte as well.
sure. I do think though it is a very, 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 and I've fallen into that trap, a natural behavior of if like after a date or after a pleasant encounter, someone doesn't follow up on it. I think it's a very natural like pitfall that women make all the time. Um Again, we're all just flawed characters. I wouldn't judge people too harshly saying like they're desperate because some guy didn't call them.
No,
I
I'm
just
saying
want to
Carrie is desperate, like the whole behavior that she's having in this episode. I'm not saying that like every
potentially
time you feel bad about someone not reaching out, like it's desperate. I'm specifically talking about her
about
here.
Carrie here. Makes sense. Okay.
But I think, like to kind of make listeners a little bit more aware of the context. I'm not perfect. I do. I just have different layers. I think that I need time to get to know and then let them in. And once I let them in, then yes, I start to be very anxious if something doesn't go well, which we all have stuff that we need to work on. But initial
Definitely.
stages, it's as I said, it's a probability game. I don't expect someone to be invested in me when we don't really know each other.
Yeah. And I think it's a good reminder of like you don't owe them anything. They don't owe you anything. You guys
Exactly.
just met. And that's like
Yeah.
a good way to level set or like even do like a litmus test of should I be panicking or should I not? Is it just like a random stranger that I just met that the odds of us even getting to know each other properly are pretty slim.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. If she was freaking out so much about someone who is this early stage, then I'm more concerned about her well-being than his well-being.
Yeah. That makes sense. All right. I think that's on pretty much on boundaries. I wanted to touch a little bit on compulsive behaviors though, because I think it was pretty prominent in this episode of just people falling to their urges, right? So we see Patrick in this episode, his relationship with alcohol, his relationship, I think even with smoking. I think smoking is one of those addictions that him and Carrie share.
Yeah.
Um, and then another one is just like how he switches from addiction to addiction. I think there's also, like as I mentioned, like other compulsive behaviors, like me, for example, like getting drunk and like texting or calling like people. Um
I don't think you mentioned that on the mic. Did you?
Not yet, but essentially, like, I think there is varying degrees of it, right? And there's obviously varying degrees of how, like, dangerous or not dangerous it is. Um, but here we do see the darker side of it.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, there is an addiction and there is an addiction, right? There are different levels of severity of it. I
Yeah.
don't think we can compare something like I'm addicted to, I don't know, chocolate, having an alcohol problem. So it's like naturally, I think some people are more prone to have compulsive type of behavior and certain addictive.
I mean, some people argue it's also genetic.
Yeah, I- it's a. It's hard for me to like really fully dive deep into this because I would say I don't really have problems with this kind of stuff. So to fully grasp the depth of how hard is it to overcome it, that would be unfair from my perspective. I don't know, how do you feel about that?
No, I think definitely, like, I gladly don't have, I'd say. It's more of like there are certain subconscious behaviors or actions they'll all fall into, including
Like
chocolate.
calling drunk.
Like calling dark, yeah. There's just certain patterns that I fall into, but I don't think, like I at least don't think they're that harmful. My friends, please tell me otherwise if it's true, but obviously there are certain things that I'll do that are not good actions or good patterns, but they're not as severe as something that's, like, as damaging as alcohol and other vices.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's that. There's not too much on that topic.
No, I
Um,
mean it's I think it's a good in this episode we see that he's actively trying to work with it.
yeah,
And I give a big applause to that because
makes
it's
sense, yeah.
the most you can do is to recognize it and then try to work
Take
with it
action.
to make it like make your life as best as possible for you.
That
And
makes absolute sense, yeah.
don't meet Carrie in the process.
Yeah. No, I
I
think that
think like because we lost Big, I don't have like he was even worse. So now it's Carrie.
now Carrie is the problem. We gotta always have, but I think, like, otherwise the episode, we'll dive into the main question in a minute, but I think the other stories and the acting of the episode was actually quite fun. Like, them at the training course, like, I think they were just having a fun time, a friend group, them talking about how good or bad people are in bed. I think that still lighthearted piece to it was there,
Yeah.
which I appreciated.
I did like, as I said, I really liked, Miranda didn't really have much screen time, so there's not much to talk
Yeah,
about.
just her in her cozy
Uh,
bed.
yeah, which I already expressed
Oh,
my
wait, explain
opinion.
to me, why do you think making, like, your bed is desperate?
Okay, let me explain again. In the context that she was saying that she's doing it for. I am someone who cares a lot about sleep. So for me, optimizing my bed is I'm all for it. Doing it in order to attract someone to come to my bed with, it's
I think it's delusional. I don't think it's desperate.
I
Like,
think it's a little bit desperate because like if you think this is gonna resolve the situation,
no, but I think it's, like, just your general outlook, and I don't think the bed is the ultimate thing, right? I think, like, your general outlook on, like, your peace of mind in life, the work you have, the house you have, like, those kinds of things, like, once you have the rest of your life in
yeah, but
order, I think you do attract certain kinds of people. I don't think it's the bed alone, though.
well, I don't think that I fully agree. I don't think that just because you are fully healed or ready to meet someone, you're gonna meet someone. Sometimes like things happen randomly. Although I do agree in terms of the
Sure.
energy that you are what you attract and like people kind of react to it. But again, I just don't like the underlying reason. Like you should do this for you to feel
For
better
yourself.
about
Yeah.
yourself and what you said. Like I feel,
Okay, so you don't like the motive of, like, I'm
yeah.
making a cozy bed so a guy can come lie in it.
Yeah, like if I say, "Oh, I want to build my house so when I meet the right person, like they will be happy." No, I should build my house to make myself good in it, right?
Yeah, but I also see people in houses for, this is my future family. This is, like, because the idea of a partner, the idea of a family is what brings them joy in life.
No, I get it. I get it, but it's gonna completely devastate you if you build something for a dreamy life of yours and then it doesn't
The
happen and then
expectations
like
come crashing
and
down.
it
Okay.
exactly the expectations are a thing that is very dangerous here versus if you build it for yourself and it's gonna make you happy or is making you happy every day even if that all your dreams don't come true you still feel content about your
Okay.
life and that's what I'm saying like I'm not bashing these characters because I don't know I have my own problems I'm just like it's a nice thing that we are aiming for stuff but you should not build your life around someone else
Yeah. Or
which
the
might
idea
never
of someone else.
which also might never come, or they will come, but they will not be the ideal version that you build in your head. And then, like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I guess our takeaway from that is do things more for yourself, but also like don't
I'm
oversell
sorry,
yourself
like,
on the idea.
I
No,
warn you, at the
I
beginning of this episode, I'm just gonna be harsh. So
I agree with what you're saying, but I wanted to generalize it a little bit. Um because I think the takeaway here again is do things more for yourself, but also like if you think that a life with a partner is more like worth sharing, don't be so rigid in your expectations of like it has to be this way, it has to be that.
yeah,
I guess like being open-minded is the better approach. Would you
just
agree?
like, and I think, that's what I'm applying in my life. Try to enjoy your life as much as possible, and then the right people will come eventually, because that enjoyment and passion for your life is attractive, not
Yeah,
the other way around. Um, and yes, I did try it in different ways around, so I'm not
makes
trying to
sense.
be know-it-all. I'm just like, okay, this is what I've learned in my life. That is
Professor
probably gonna be
Zuzana.
better. Um, no, but like, let's go to the final question, because I mean, like, it's a very spicy question.
I also
Um,
like it's again, the question is how do you know if you're good in bed? And it's just so subjective that I am surprised they didn't do the interviews in this episode of people
oh,
on
me
the street,
too. I
which
was
I would
really
have loved
hoping for
here.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a perfect question to do that with, but also like how do you come up with to a stranger, I guess, and ask that? Um yeah. I
I mean, like, for the context again, we didn't get an answer from Carrie here, or at least I didn't get any.
There was no answer. No,
Yeah,
I
okay.
rewatched again and I tried, but there is no answer. But the internet has answers for us.
Okay, go for it.
Well, I think there were parts of again, she asked Samantha this, and that's when she brought in like the piece of affirmations. So when you know, like people are happy, or are inviting you to have threesomes as her gay friends were doing. So I
Mm.
think she felt that she was notorious for being good at it because of her like almost like street cred through her network. Um
That's the best way, like, I've ever heard someone describing this.
so um but there was an article on Medium, which I only read a part of it because I really had to subscribe to read the rest of it. But
There is an article on Medium
there's
on
so many
this.
articles on this online, which I was like a little bit scared to look
Damn.
at. Um, but point one on it was interesting, and it was when your ex contacts you years later, that's how you know. Meaning like
Hmm.
you guys broke up, moved on, but then like reaches back out to you could be a potentially a sign that you're good in bed.
Do you agree with that?
I I thought it was funny. I don't know if I fully agree with it because there's could be a number of things why they reach out to you again.
Exactly. Yeah, I would say the same. It doesn't
Maybe
have
it's
to
one of the
be.
factors, but I don't know if it's the factor. Um, what else is there? Oh God, this is okay. I don't agree with this one. Um, your bedroom skills, not your personality, are what keep them around.
No. I mean, who are you? I would be interested to know who the person is that wrote
I
this.
I don't know.
I also hope
Yeah.
not.
And
I
then
don't.
another reason was you're a closet freak, meaning like you're very to yourself, I guess. Like in some cases, maybe like nerdy people, but then it's like unexpectedly like they're good in bed.
So the conclusion is they nerdy people.
Well, you never know. It's never like. Anyways, it's always a gamble. Um,
With
yeah.
nerdy
Okay.
people or in general?
In general, but okay. Reddit was coming back with if they want to do it again, which I think is actually a pretty good one.
Mm, again, like, if they have a general scarcity of partners, I wouldn't necessarily use that as a way
Oh
of
my god. Okay,
judging.
fine. Fine. If they're generally not a wanted candidate, okay.
Or if they just take a very long time to open up to someone in this regard.
Maybe it takes them a while to trust and yeah, okay. That could be it. That could be it. Um, okay, but the
But
one I like the best, which I think is really the most applicable from what I found, is it like really depends. Again, it's not like I think we're trying to land at a singular answer of like, oh, you're good or bad because of this. But I do think it's very subjective. And so everyone likes different things. It's about asking questions, listening to what your partner likes and dislikes, and iterating without getting defensive.
just don't ask too many questions during it.
Because in the last episode, we've learned people get uncomfortable with that too.
Yeah. No, I mean, my answer is, and
I
don't look.
crowdsourced mine, so.
I have, as with everything, you wouldn't have to ask this question if you are.
Wow, she just goes in straight for the jugular. Um, okay. Okay. I don't know if I like again, you could be good with one person but not another.
But then you would not be in the situation I described. If you don't need to ask this question at all, like
Okay, in
it
general.
doesn't
Okay.
ever cross your mind. You, I think it's clear. Like with everything, if you never have doubts and
Yeah,
you don't
okay.
even come to that thinking for you individually, not in general. Um, I think that is like the best way of saying,
Makes sense.
because you probably understood. Well, yeah, I mean, it's self-explanatory, I think.
Yeah. I also like to generalize I kind of agree with it now, but I also want to generalize it as like I think your romantic relationship and your sexual relationship, like it's only one bit of the relationship. And
Mm.
I think, like, again, the show is called Sex in the City, but I think we hone in a little bit too much or put a little bit too much emphasis on it. There is so many other parts of like a person that make a happy relationship.
I mean, but like, this is not only about relationships. This can also just be, the physical, the
Sure.
question.
Again, yeah, if you give friends with benefits kind of thing. Okay, fine, fine.
Yeah, or Samantha, just,
Or
being
Samantha.
Samantha.
She's a wild one for sure. Well, awesome. I think we've answered it. Anything else we've left out, you think?
Well, I also have an answer to Carrie, but I think I bashed her enough in this episode, so I'm just gonna keep that in my notes forever.
What did you say to Carrie?
I already said it in multiple ways.
All right, Zuzana's
But
not a fan of Carrie this episode.
Carrie, do better, please. I have
Her
hopes in you.
her outfits were cute though. Like her dress
But
was
her
cute.
outfits are always cute. I mean,
I guess. Yeah.
if we had a podcast talking about outfits, then yes, I would have very different approaches here.
We're a versatile podcast. We bring you on a roller coaster journey of an episode and yeah, I think we don't disappoint with that. Hey, at least we're raw.
Please, it would be great if at least one person would like align on my side with my reflection on Carrie and her behavior in this episode, because
No, I think a lot of the internet agrees with you. I do want to be like again Carrie's devil's advocate of she's a flawed character. She's a person. Like I think we're
it's
putting like
fine.
a very high bar on someone that's imaginary. Um
Oh yeah, but that's also why I don't feel necessarily bad criticizing, her behavior, because she is a made up character. It's not the real person. But also, like, I just, i- if I imagine to go through that experience on the side of the guy that I don't know what his name was,
Patrick. Yeah.
Patrick, yeah. Um, I just, I feel too empathetic with him, in this episode, and that's why I'm probably too strongly
Which I think is
opinionated.
uncommon for us to do in this show, right? Like we rarely side with the guys,
Yeah, true.
which I think, No, I think the show does a really good job of like painting these realistic characters and having us switch sides every couple episode or so.
Yeah, yeah. I think that soon I will be on the side of Carrie again with something.
We've got some hope. We've got some hope. Well, okay. I guess we can close out today. Thanks so much,
Yes.
everyone, for bearing with us in our chaotic journey today.
Thank you. Thank you for monitoring. No, moderating.
Moderating. Anytime. Next time you see us, we might be together in Panama, which
Yeah,
I'm super thrilled
let's
about.
see how that goes in terms of actual recording. We will try our
We will
best.
try. I'll be
But
bringing my mic. I don't know about you. I'm packing that.
I'm taking the small one, not the big one.
Oh, maybe I should do that too. I gotta make sure it
Yeah.
can last. Well, all right. We'll see you guys next time. Toodaloo.
I have hopes for this character to get better.
She does. She does.
And with that, I say goodbye to you.
We say adieu.